Hey guys, if you're here, you're wanting to learn a little bit more about our life skills science curriculum for the 2020-2021 school year. In this training, we're going to talk about all the materials and resources that are available for our life skills class in science. We're going to look at some station and rotation ideas, and then we're going to look at everyone's favorite topic right now, which is Schoology, and how our materials are organized on Schoology and what are some resources that you can use for your class. So first, let's look at all the materials and resources that are available for our science curriculum. The basis of our curriculum in science and life skills is our unique curriculum. It offers weekly lessons that come in the form of chapters of a book. It's usually 6 chapters per book. So you have each one of those each week with a supplemental lesson to go with it. It also offers some leveled books that are related to the topic, some ideas for experiments, and also for vocabulary. Let's go ahead and look at our unique curriculum. An example of it. This is taken from our middle school curriculum for week 1, which is the first chapter of this book. Each unique lesson comes with lesson plans, and they're differentiated, which is great. And you can kind of think of which students would do best with which level of activity of this lesson. You still may need to differentiate for your students further than the options here, but it does give you a great place to start. It tells you kind of what instructional targets you want to hit, how you can do that with each level of student. These lesson plan documents are very beneficial, especially if you're not familiar with Unique and how to teach it to your students. There's lots of good stuff in here for teachers. And the good thing about Unique is once you read over these and you learn them, the next week you'll kind of have an idea of what to do without having to spend as much time looking through those documents. I'm going to get down here for the when the chapter starts. There it goes. Mark learns to cook. So our unique lessons come in 3 different levels. They start with our level 3, which is for some of our students who are able to read and don't need as many pictures to help guide them. So you can see level 3 has fewer pictures, lots of words for our students. Our level 2 in Unique, which is coming up, bigger pictures, fewer words. Same story, same concepts. Our students are still getting their lesson. They just have fewer words to read or listen to. The last level that Unique offers for our students is level 3. Again, bigger pictures, fewer words, and also some visual cues to go along with the words. So as you can see, they're all learning the same concepts, they're all getting the same lesson, just in a little bit different way. Unique also offers comprehension questions at the end of each chapter that are also leveled, along with the communication board. These boards are great to use, have printed out as you're reading with your students so you can reference the words as they read them. Or maybe you just want to blow up and cut out the few important words and have those students touch those words when they hear them. You want to keep referencing the new vocabulary they're learning as you're reading the chapter. Here's an example of a comprehension activity. This one comes with some picture choices. I'm not sure where the picture choices are. In this one, they can circle or point to the correct answer. Same thing, but with the visual cues attached to that one. Here's another great way for our students to point or circle their answers. If you're really handy with technology, you can take these and put them in Google Slides or another format where students can do this electronically and move the answers to the choices, move the correct choice to the question. So that's what one chapter of science looks like. With our unique curriculum, our students are exposed to 1 chapter per week is the kind of flow we go at. But there's also a lot of other curriculum, so they are doing other things during that week. But we want to spend a week, we want to really get into the lesson and repeat it if necessary and delve into different vocabulary, different ideas. So we go at a pace of 1 week per chapter. Another piece of our science vocabulary in secondary is our focus on science books. Each campus should have a set of these in the science room. But what's good about AbleNet now is that we also offer it digitally. And when you do that, there are 3 different levels. This book is a level 2, I believe. Much like a unique curriculum, level 1 is going to have fewer pictures, more words, and go from there. But these are a great supplement to our unique curriculum. And they're usually we try to tie it to them in some way. So we're talking about solids and matter in this one. They come with good pictures and they're really good lessons. And they also provide activities for the students to do to check comprehension and things like that. So that's a great supplemental resource in science. Our cooking guide offers the daily living skills piece of science for our students. It kind of guides you on options to cook every week with your students and tells you what to get from the store and what activities they're doing with it. And here's the recipes. You can take this and make activities from it. You can then choose the ones you want to do in the kitchen and use those. So that is our cooking guide. Visual we use in all of our content areas, but I wanted to check it out in science so you can see what that looks like. I'm going to log back in. We've used Fizzle for a while, and it does a great job supplementing activities for our students, and they really, really enjoy it. A lot of times, some activities will be provided on Schoology for you to look at, for you to type in the numbers, and you know that those activities are connected to your lesson for that week. But also, you can just search for what you want by hitting Search Library. We were talking about matter. So we're going to type in matter and see what activities are available. And automatically tons pop up. And just like unique and just like we saw with Focus on Science, these activities are also leveled and in the same way, so that you know a level 1 is an errorless activity for your students who do better with those, and up to level 3 where they can choose their answer to the question. So it lets you know. So if you're thinking of certain students and what they need, you can kind of base it off that level. Visual has games, books, and other activities. Let's click on this one. What does matter? It's a level 2. Oh, we're going to hit this key right here. I'm going to go ahead and preview it. I would never want to give my student an activity that I haven't previewed myself to make sure. So we're going to go ahead and preview it. This book is all about matter. Students learn very quickly how to use little arrows here. If there's a little blue button with an arrow, that means that the computer will read it.
Matter is everything around you, including you. Matter is what all things are made of.
Great. So if this is an activity you're assigning, especially to a CFISD Connect student who is learning from home and there's no one there to read it to them, they can just press that little button if they're non-readers and have it read to them. And also in class, if they're at a tech station and there's not a teacher there, it's an independent station, they can have it read to them. So if there's a question mark, that means there's a question there. We're going to look at it. Okay. So I'm not going to look at all of it, but just want to kind of show you what that looked like. And again, that's a level 2. So when you find an activity that you really like on Schoology, there's a couple, on Visual, there's a couple of different choices. You can assign it so that you can assign it to a particular student or group of students, and then you can track their progress and you can look at their data, which is very helpful. But if you just want to share it out to your course in Schoology or share it in any other way, you're going to hit share link and you're going to be able to copy the link and share it. And when your students click on it, they will not have to remember their login information or password. They can just automatically do the activity. So again, the cons of that is you won't be able to track it if you do like to use Fizzle for data collection. But the upside is that students don't have to remember anything and they can just click it and get right to playing. That is Fizzle, and a great way to supplement our science curriculum. There's so many activities. You can also build your own, but there's already so many on there. So I would definitely search first. We also have our daily living skills cards, which I'm trying to get to, but this little box won't let me. Nope, didn't want to do that. We'll look at them when we go to Schoology. No problem. Oh, no, here we go. Nope. Okay, let's keep going. Like I said, unique curriculum is standards-based. It is the main focus of the curriculum and its differentiated stories with leveled activities. We have a new topic every grading period and a new chapter every week to focus on with new vocabulary words. Every week has its own board with new vocabulary words. Unique also offers experiments, leveled books, but beyond that, on our site, we have graphic organizers to work with these chapters, some related activities, some supplemental activities. All this would be our supplemental part of our science curriculum. All right, let's talk about how we're going to put all these resources and materials into your stations and rotations. So when we talk about planning stations and rotations, usually it's a good idea to plan 3 lessons or activities for each one of your classes. Then set a timer and review your expectations. Of course, we review our expectations with our students at the beginning of every class, but it's also a good idea to go ahead and do that again when you start a new station to let them know what is expected of them during that time and what they can expect from you or that station, whether it's a vocabulary activity and you expect them to match them, and then, or if it's the chapter and they're expected to listen and find the different words. You want to be sure to differentiate your lessons and activities depending on the group of students that are in front of you at that station at the time. So here's some ideas for station and rotations in science. Station 1 could be a teacher or para reading a unique curriculum chapter like we looked at earlier. It could be, if you've read it already, it could be a time that you're reviewing it and completing a graphic organizer with it. You could be doing a vocabulary quiz game or a comprehension or quiz or something with the unique curriculum after reading chapter 1 or whatever chapter you're reading. And then in another station, some ideas are the Focus on Science book, which you can have the hard copy of in your class or bring up on your board or on a laptop in that group. You could also review chapter activities, read the leveled books, do an experiment, work on vocab, or a measuring activity for cooking, or an actual cooking activity once we start cooking again. If you have an independent station, some good ideas for that are visual activities that you've got lined up for those students, matching COM-board visuals. If you want your students to be independent, you may have to do it at a level lower than they're used to working at, where maybe it's picture to picture, so they won't need any help and they can build that independence. Something like hygiene, brushing their teeth or hair, all those are great station rotation activities that they can do more independently. When you're grouping your students, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can group similar ability students, and they can, so when they're at your station, you can have that same activity planned for all of them that they all can do, but you can also group them by varied abilities, and then they can work together to complete the activity by partial participation. It's really no right way to do it. It's just going to be what works for you and your students, or what you're working with and who's in your room. We talked a little bit about differentiation with our unique curriculum. All of the curriculum is outlined on Schoology, but even when it's at different levels, there's still going to be a space for you to differentiate within your classroom. And you need to understand not all your students will spend the same amount of time on lessons, and not all students will complete the same type of worksheet or may not complete a worksheet at all. Every student's going to access the curriculum a little bit differently. So something to think about as you're looking at all the lessons in Schoology. Think about how it's going to work for your student and what you need to do to for them to be able to participate. Because all students need to have a way to participate in your lessons. So reflect for just a second. in the past or your plans for the future, do all of your students have a way to participate in your class? What do you have available for them? What are some different ways that students participate in class and life skills? Because our students have lots of way of answering or communicating with us. Some of the different response modes that they can use are verbally answering. They can write, whether it's writing or circling, point. A lot of our students have AT devices assigned to them that they can use to communicate and participate. Sometimes it might be a pre-programmed Big Mac switch that's errorless. The answer is there for them to touch. And sometimes we're able to give a student 2 Big Macs and they can make a choice and give us their answer. Communication boards are a great way for students to learn to communicate and participate, and so are manipulatives. So those are just some ways that our students can respond to our instruction and communicate with their peers and with staff in class. So some pictures of what some of those things look like. All right, now we're gonna look in Schoology and talk about what our curriculum looks like in there. Let's look. So all of the curriculum is stored there now. Very similar to the way that it was in our Google site. It's gonna take a little getting used to, but we try to make it familiar for you so that you can find the curriculum in the same way. So really for your students on campus, you're gonna access the materials and create what you need the same way that you always have. It's all there in the same way. If you were used to printing out certain parts of the chapter of science or those comm boards, you're gonna continue to be able to locate them in Schoology and print them and have them ready for your students. Or if you bring them up on the board, whatever you were doing, none of that should change. You're gonna have access to everything you did before, and you should be able to find it pretty easily. What we're trying to do this year is create more interactive activities, and that are also stored in Schoology so that our students at home can participate in the lessons as much as possible without being on campus. So as of now, we have some interactive visual activities for each unique curriculum chapter, meaning that the chat we're going to look at in a second, but the chapter is read and there are some questions after. So when your student puts it out to your course, your student can open it, the chapter's read to them, and they can answer the questions. Also, we've had some teachers make some great interactive lessons with vocabulary and questions that you can stick in your course for your students to participate in. But not just for that. These can, of course, also be used in your classroom for your face-to-face students. Let's look. So I've gone to resources in the middle school page, and the high school looks exactly the same, except the high school curriculum's in there. But I clicked on science, grading period 1. And here's everything you need. So we talked about our unique curriculum being a chapter a week. It's going to be right there. This is the chapter, and this is the activity that goes with it. Every week has a new chapter. So let me just show you. I'll click on it so you can see. The unique lesson should pop right up. Ooh, it worked. Good. So that's all divided by week. Your supplemental resources, which we talked about, the leveled books, the vocabulary, the experiment, all that, you should be able to click on and go right to the graphic organizers. Some examples of visual activities that not sure if they still work, but we're going to check them. And if not, we'll add new ones. Let's see what else. We talked about the cooking. So your cooking guide is all here. And those in task cards. This is the thing I couldn't click on before. So each activity has a different task card to show your students how to do different chores. And again, like I scrolled through it pretty quickly, but you can see even those come with lesson plans for teachers. So everything we talked about as part of the curriculum is all stored here. What's kind of new this year is these interactive activities. So since students doing face-to-face will be reading the chapter with their teacher, with their para, with their peers, students at home will also have access to that. Remember, if there's a little blue button with an arrow, I can press play.
Mark likes to cook and bake. His favorite thing to make is a cake. Mark's sister, Liv, is a chef in a restaurant. Liv is teaching a cooking class at her restaurant.
Okay.
Mark likes to cook and bake. Mark likes to cook and bake.
Okay, we're gonna keep going. So the whole chapter is read to them by pressing the blue buttons. And then when we get to the end of the chapter, there's the COM board. And then some questions. This is a sorting activity. They would just have to sort. And I'm gonna do it, sorry you have to watch, just because I wanna see if there's anything after it. Yes, I'm doing a great job. Lots of different ways we can sort stuff, right? Okay, yay. Yeah, so also comprehension questions. If you remember, it looks just like it did on the unique chapter. I believe these were just screenshotted and placed in here by our curriculum coach, Allison. So yay. Okay, so we get the idea. The students will be able to have the chapter read to them and answer questions and do a sorting activity. So it's great for them to be able to access all of that from home. And of course, like I said, they can use this in your classroom as well as one of your stations as a review or anything. So that same video with the teacher reading and the activities is available for all 8 chapters for the first grading period. And I know high school is also working on similar activities to have available for teachers as well. We also have some activities created by some teachers who've been working hard in the past few weeks to getting ready for school to start. So I also wanted to share some of those with you. Since it's week 1, we're still clicking on, it is the same chapter, a cooking class. These are matching picture to picture. The student will be able to drag them over. And since it forced us to make a copy, this is what the student can work on and do whatever they want and it'll be fine. Same thing here. We're just going to move picture to picture to see if we can match. Another sorting activity where the student has to decide, is it a kitchen appliance or a person? I love that. More opportunity to answer questions from the chapter. So you can see these will have to be done after the chapter is read. For some students, they're able to, instead of matching the picture to picture, they're able to type a vocab word here and then type the definition and use it in a sentence. So this is a little bit higher level activity. So when you talk to your parents, you may want to explain if you send this whole group to them, which pages would be best for their student to work on. And with help, they can do all of them. So that's just a conversation you would want to have with the parent. Same thing here. Instead of dragging and placing the picture choice, the student is able to type in the box what the answer is. In this example, they are able to check their answer. What cannot go in a microwave? All right, I don't know how to, okay, there's directions. Oh, I right click and choose a check mark. Look at that. Okay, the directions are right here. I just didn't see them. So thank you, Amber, for these great activities in science for our students to work on. And we will continue to work on getting more of those available to you guys. And there's, available for all 8 chapters. There's another activity that was shared with us. I think this is going to be more of a functional science activity. Yeah, I think possibly was made by Lansing. So So you watch a video and answer some questions. That looks fun. So I'm showing you what we have in here now. My hope is that teachers continue to create and share, and you have so many options that you don't even know which ones to pick for your students, but you have plenty assignments to give them each week so they can keep up with what we're doing. So these two folders are the ones you're going to be able to use for your Schoology course. Well, I want to go back and show you. I think it's just as simple as copy to, and then you would choose your course to copy it to, and then it would be in there for you to assign to your students. So that's why it's organized by chapter, so you can do that, a different one every week. And it's the same for the unique chapter that was read in Visual. You just copy it to your course, then it's there, and like I said, you assign it as needed to your students. So just to review really quick, all of the curriculum that you've always had access to is in all of these pages, and you use them how you always have. And when you're thinking of your Connect students at home, these are the two folders you're going to use mainly. Now, that's not to say you can't take your chapter and work your magic with it, make it how you want it, and then link that to your course for your student that's specific for them. Of course you can. That's another way to do it. If you have any questions about any of the materials, resources, station rotation ideas, or anything that we talked about in Schoology, your coordinators and coaches are always here to answer questions, so please reach out, email one of us, and we would love to come help you with any of this. Thanks so much for listening. Oh.